Hello, hi, good morning, all of you. Welcome to the session. I'm Meena Verma, and today we will be covering about the first topic of our subject, which is strategic cost management. So the topic is about strategic cost management. So before studying about the strategic cost management, we must know the meaning of traditional cost management, and we must know that why is this new strategic cost management have been introduced. What is the need? What is the need of new strategic cost management? So actually, if you will see in traditional cost management, we have only learned about how we can manage the cost. So the management, those who were taking the decisions, they were just focusing on managing the cost. While if you will see these days, I mean, we must have seen various economical changes. We must have just few years back, we have seen COVID and thereafter impact. So we have seen so many changes. And the point is that the environment is very dynamic. The external environment is very dynamic. It keep on changing. It never remains fixed. So the point is that one strategy is not enough. So one strategy is not enough for a reason, because when you have framed only one thing, so that one thing will not be acceptable under all circumstances, because we know that the environment will keep on changing. So the point is that according to different environment, we need a different strategy. But the point is that the environment for which we need a strategy is not fixed. The environment is very dynamic. It keep on changing. We can see our external environment. It keep on changing and it keep on affecting by various factors. So the point is that we need a good strategy before cost management. So actually, cost management is successful in organization if we consider the cost management with strategies. So for that reason, it's not enough to do the cost management as we have done traditionally. It's not at all enough. We need strategies before implementation of cost management. So for that reason, our chapter is about strategic cost management, where we are learning that how we should first focus on making the strategies for the organization, and then we should focus on managing the cost of the organization. So what are the topics which we will study today? So the first topic is about the traditional cost management and strategic cost management. So you can see that we have the difference between the traditional cost management and the strategic cost management. So you can see these are the difference. We will discuss these difference later. So the point is that for cost management, we need what? We need strategies. All right. So if you want to make your organization successful, if you want to grow your organization, if you want to increase the profitability of the organization, if you want to increase the customer satisfaction of the organization, if you have a long-term vision for your organization. So in such cases, we need what? Strategies. So if you will see about the traditional cost management was just focused on the cost. It was just focused. If you will remember what you have studied in your basic classes. So if you remember what you have studied in foundation or inter, so you will see that we were just focusing on finding the cost of the product. The organization was just focusing on finding the cost. Either you will see the cost sheet, if you will see the process costing or a job costing, it was all focused on just finding the cost. All right. So, and they were just focusing on controlling the cost. So you must have studied about the standard cost management. We all have studied about the variance analysis. Right? So if you will see, actually the variance analysis is a part of traditional cost management. We find the standard cost, we find the actual cost, then we find the variances, then we find the reason why the variance is coming, and then we find the way to resolve it. So that was a traditional method. That is not a smart method actually. So traditional cost management, and yes, traditional cost management is focused on corrective, right? Means you have done a blunder, you have done an error, and then you are trying to correct your error. So do you think it's good? Do you think it's good that we have done a mistake and then we are trying to find out that why the mistake is coming? Do you think? Please write in comment. Is it a good method to first find the mistake, first do the mistake, and then do the correction? Actually, if you will see the standard strategic cost management, you will find that this is the most, the worst way of taking decision. All right, this is the worst way of taking decision, that you are committing the mistake and then you're finding the reason why the mistake is coming, right? So if you will see, it's a reactive approach, right? While if you will see, strategic cost management is a proactive approach, means we don't even allow to do any mistakes. We make our strategy in such a way. So what is the meaning of strategy? Strategy means we are planning everything in the organization in such a way that we always wants to win, right? We always want to become number one, right? We make the strategy for the organization that we always wants to be number one. So this is strategic cost management. So strategic cost management is not a reactive approach. It's a proactive approach, right? So we don't allow the organization to do the mistakes, right? We don't allow the organization to produce defective units and then correcting them. No, we do not allow to produce any defects, right? This is what proactive approach. It's not a reactive approach that you have done the blunder and then you are finding the way to reduce it, right, or remove it. So if you will see traditional cost management, it suffered following demerits, or you can say it suffered following limitations, right? So the first limitation is what you can see. The first limitation is that if you will see the traditional cost management, what you have studied in your CA Inter, it was all internal focus. You just need the internal information. Okay, how many units we want to sell, right? At what price we want to sell? What are the resources required to produce the units, right? So if you will see traditional cost management, like I hope you remember that we prepare a cost sheet here, right? We prepare cost sheet. We prepare this, right? So if you will see, it is only focused on what internal things, right? You try to find out the material, right? How much material is required for production. Then we try to find out how much labor is required for production. Then we try to find out how much other direct expenses is required for production, direct expenses, sorry. Right? And then we see how much other indirect expenses is required for production, right? Indirect expenses. If you will see a traditional cost management, these information are enough to prepare a cost sheet, right? And they prepare the cost sheet by using these information, how much material is required, how much labor is required, how much direct expenses and indirect expenses. That means how much overhead is required. So the point is that if you will see, traditional cost management is only internal focus, right? They don't see what is happening around them, right? So the point is that it is strongly internal focus. They are not considering what the competitor are doing. They are not at all considering how the market is, responding. The market is very dynamic, right? Every day it keep on changing, it keep on affecting by various factors, right? So the point is that if you will see, whatever we have studied in CA Inter, right, we have not discussed anything apart from these information, right? So for that reason, we are saying it is internal focus. Next point is it is focused on excessive cost reduction, right? So the point is that before applying any strategy for reducing the cost, if you want to reduce the cost of the organization, before applying any strategy to reduce the cost of the organization, what do we need? We need to know about the strategies of the organization. We need to know about what will work for the organization and what will not work for the organization, right? And we cannot apply the same strategy for everyone in everywhere in the organization. Not possible. Same strategy is not possible to apply everywhere, right? So if you will see, traditional cost management is excessive focus on the cost reduction, right? So I hope you remember that in CA Inter, we have learned about the variances, right? So what is variances? We are trying to find out the variances in material, right? We are trying to find out the variances in labor. We are trying to find out the variances in resources. Everywhere we try to find out the variances. Then we try to find out the reason why these variances are coming. Then we try to find the way to reduce them or remove them. So the point is that it's all focused on cost reduction, and they're not considering what is the impact if we reduce some resources from the organization. It might be possible now. For example, if we reduce the advertisement expenses, right, it is possible that it may reduce the cost. Sorry, it may reduce the sale of the organization, right? It might be possible that somewhere we are compromising with the quality of the raw material, right? And then we are compromising the quality of the raw material so that we can reduce the cost. So the point is that in such cases, what will happen? It may have impact in some other way in the organization. So the point is that we need to find out the linkage between them, and we need to consider everything before taking a decision whether we should reduce the cost or we should not reduce the cost. So the point is that if you will see the traditional cost management, they excessively focus on cost reduction, which is not a good strategy, right? Which is not good for the organization for cost management. Okay, next point, if you will see the traditional cost management, whatever you have studied so far, in traditional cost management, they completely ignore what? Dynamic, right? You know, the market is very dynamic, right? The environment is very dynamic. Just before COVID-19, right, we were so relaxed, and we have never assumed that one disease can shut down the entire world. We have never imagined that, right? So you can see that how the COVID has impacted the world, right? Same way, some other, it keep on, I mean, recently what happened, like anywhere, if, some organization is having any big fraud, right? It may affect the market in next day, right? You can see the impact immediately next day. So the point is that the market is very dynamic, and we must try to understand the market, right? And we must try to make the decision of the organization accordingly, which never happened in traditional cost management. So for that reason, we say that first, before taking any cost management related decision, right? If you want to take cost management related decision, you should first you should first frame the strategy of the organization. Now, strategy means we are trying to take such decision that we always become the number one. We will always become the market leader, right? We always become the market leader. We make such strategies that will always make us market leader, right? So this is the reason, right? Okay. Now the point is that if you will see whatever you have studied in your basic classes, right? While preparing the cost sheet, we never consider the customer feedback, right? We never consider. While preparing the strategy of the organization, we never consider the customer feedback. And customer feedback is very important, right? If you know the customer feedback, you can accordingly change your strategies. You can accordingly make, prepare a you can accordingly take a better cost management decision for the organization. So the point is that feedback is important. First, we get the feedback from the customer, right? And accordingly, we frame the cost management related decisions, right? But in traditional cost management, we were just focusing on material consumed, labor consumed, direct expenses, and indirect expenses means overhead. So if you will see in traditional cost management, they completely ignore the feedback from the customer, right? So they don't work on reviews, that means the feedback of the customer, and then the improvisation to improve the organization. We never do this in traditional cost management, right? Okay, next is what? A reactive approach. See, this is, we have just discussed this reactive approach. Now the point is that, what is a reactive approach? Reactive approach means we have done some mistake first, right? We have done the mistakes, right? We have done the mistake, or we have produced the defective units, right? We have done the mistakes. We have already produced the defective units. Then we are trying to find out, the reason why is this defective unit is being produced in the organization? Why is this mistake has happened in the organization? So the point is that first you have done the mistake, then you're trying to find out the reason for the mistake, and then you are trying to remove them from the organization. This is traditional management, right? But if you will see strategic cost management, it is not a reactive approach. Strategic cost management is a proactive approach. Proactive approach means what? We are already prepared, right? We are well prepared. And we will not at all see, if you will see lean management, it's a strategic cost management, right? And they focus on zero defect, not at all, not even single defective unit is allowed to produce, zero defects, right? So if you will talk about strategic cost management, it's a proactive approach. Proactive means they don't allow to produce defective units, not at all, right? So this is strategic cost management. You can see the difference also, right? Okay. Next is what? Short-term outlooks. So the point is that if you will observe the traditional, whatever you have studied so far, if you will see the traditional way of cost management, you will see we prepare a cost sheet for a month, or we prepare a cost sheet for a quarter. We prepare a cost sheet for a year, right? Similarly, we do the budgeting for a month, quarter, or annual, right? We do the budgeting in this way. We try to do the variance analysis either monthly, quarterly, or annually. Point is that if you will see the traditional cost management, whatever, if you will see the budgeting, or if you will see variance analysis, anything, whatever you will see there, it is all short-term focus. Short-term means either your entire decision is for 1 month, right? You will take entire decision either for 1 month, or you will take the entire decision for 1 quarter, right? You prepare a cost sheet for 1 quarter, considering all the information, right? Or you prepare a cost sheet by considering the information of 1 year. Point is that it is all short-term, right? Traditional cost management focus on short-term outlooks. It's all short-term, right? And if you will see in strategic cost management, what happened? We never take short-term decisions. Our decisions are always long-term, right? So if you will see strategic cost management, we always take such decisions which have long-term outcomes, right? It has strategic cost. In case of strategic cost management, we take the decision which have long-term outcomes. Now, what is long-term outcomes? Means when you are taking decision for considering the strategic cost management, you will consider what will happen in next 5 years, right? You will see what will happen in next 10 years, 10 years. Right? We will see what will happen in next 15 years, right? We will see what will happen in next 20 years. So the point is that in strategic cost management, our decision is on long-term outcomes, right? And see, in case of strategic cost management, sometimes it is good to accept the losses in short term. If it will give you gain long-term, right? It is acceptable. If you have losses in short term, that's okay. If it will give you profitability, right, in long term. So if you will see, for that reason, if you will see strategic cost management, right? Strategic cost management is more focused on what? Customer satisfaction, right? Whether the customer is happy with the organization or not. Here we more focus on employee satisfaction, whether the employee is happy with the organization or not, right? So strategic cost management, in case of strategic cost management, we take the decision of the organization considering the long-term visions, right? Long-term outcomes. And for achieving the long-term vision or long-term outcome, it is acceptable that, okay, if we have any loss in 1 week, that's okay, because this loss will give you a gain in 10 years, right? That's okay, right? If you have a loss for 1 year, that is acceptable if it will give you profit in 10 years, next 10 years, right? So the point is that if you will see the difference, what is the difference? Yes, can you write the difference between them? So strategic cost management is long-term focus, while traditional cost management is short-term focus, right? Okay. Now, the next point is that if you will see, in case of traditional cost management, we relate the cost with the production. You know? So we see that how many units we will produce. This is how we prepare a cost sheet. If you remember, we have prepared the cost sheet in CA Inter. So what we consider first, how many units we will produce. How many units we will produce. And for producing these units, what are the resources required? What are the resources? Now, resources means how much material is required, right? For production of, for example, I want to produce how much? 1 lakh units, right? I want to produce 1 lakh units in 1 quarter, for example, right? So I want to produce 1 lakh unit in 1 quarter. So what will happen? I'll see for the production of 1 lakh unit, how much raw material is required? How much raw material is required? For the production of 1 lakh unit, how much labor is required? For the production of 1 lakh unit, how much other resources are required? So the point is that you will see we are just relating resource means cost. All right. Resource means cost. All these resources, for all these resources, we need to pay something, right? They are not free in nature. If you want to produce a final goods, raw material is not free in nature. If you want to produce a final good, labor is not free. Do you want to work for free for someone? No. So the point is that nothing is free in this world. So whenever you want to produce a good, you need some resources. They are not free. You will pay something for that, right? And what will happen? We will consider what money we are paying for all these resources, right? That will be the cost, and we relate the cost with the production, and then we find the cost per unit. We find the cost per units, right? So in this way, you can see cost per unit means we are relating the cost with the units, right? But actually, it is not good to relate the entire cost with the production or the units, right? We will learn about it later, right? That why it is not good. And traditionally, they just relate the entire cost with the units. They relate the entire cost with the production. So this is what happened. Okay, and if you will see in case of traditional cost management, they completely ignore these points, right? So if you will remember, in your CA Inter, it was all practical. You have learned how to prepare a cost sheet. You have learned how to do the variance analysis, how to prepare a budget. It was all quantitative. Everywhere you were using the numbers, right? So if you will see here, if you will see that you have never considered the customer satisfaction level. We have never considered the customer satisfaction level. Or we have never considered the employees' satisfaction level. We have never considered what the competitors are doing, how the market is behaving, right? So the point is that in case of traditional cost management, we completely ignored the non-financial performance. We were all focusing on the financial performance. We were all considering, right? We were all considering where we are paying the money. Where we are paying the money, we have all considered it, right? But we completely ignored what these non-financials measure in case of traditional cost management, right? So this is the difference. All right. So what is strategic cost management? So in case of strategic cost management, if you will see what is strategic cost management, in case of strategic cost management, we want to take the cost management related decision, but before taking the cost management related decision, we want to make the strategies, right? So this is the best way for managing the cost in the organization, the best way to manage the cost of the organization. Any student have any doubt? Do you have any doubt? Anybody have any doubt? Okay, if not defective, okay. So Viraj is asking if no defective units is produced, which one is better? So the point is that if you follow a traditional cost management, it is impossible that you will not produce a defective units. That's impossible. So if you follow the traditional way, it is obvious that you will produce a defective units, and you will you will learn it. When you will study the entire subject, after that you will learn that, oh, how important it is, right? In traditional cost management, it is not at all possible that you will not produce defective unit. You will definitely produce the defective unit. So for that reason, there is need, right? So the point is that if you will see strategic cost management, we consider both internal factors and we consider external factors. So Viraj, you can answer me. Is it good if I'm only considering the internal factors, like if I'm only considering the raw material, labor, overheads, right? I'm just considering these information and I'm taking all the decision. Do you think it's good? I don't think so, right? If I just consider these information, I don't think it's a right way to take the decision. So what is the right way of decision? Consider both. Consider the internal factor, right? Consider the internal factor, then consider the external factors, consider both, right? And then take the decision. That will be the best decision, right? So external factors, we will discuss this, right? It will include what? Political, economical, social, technology, legal factors, and what opportunities and threat also, right? We have learned about the SWOT analysis. So what are the opportunities? We will consider this. What are the threats, right? Potter's 5 forces model. It is also what? External factors. These are all external factors. We will consider them and then we take the decision, right? Okay. And this is what we have already discussed, that in case of strategic cost management, we consider what? Non-financial measures also, right? So non-financial matlab customer feedback. We consider the employee satisfaction. We consider the quality of the product. We consider all these things, right? In strategic cost management, we consider what the competitors are doing, right? Accordingly, we make such strategies to get the competitive advantage. All right. Strategic cost management is both internal and external focus. So these are what? And yes, see, all these points are the points which we will study in this chapter in detail, right? So you can see, we will consider the value chain analysis, product development life cycle, continuous improvement. We will learn all these points. All right. We will learn all of them. Okay. We will do this later. Okay. So there is a question. So the first question is that if, for example, an organization, we have financial statement of an organization, you can see the following information is extract of financial statement of a company, right? The company is producing 2 products, A and B. If the company stop producing B, the sale of A will fall down by 25%, it is written. Okay? So you can see what is happening here. You can see here, the company is producing 2 products, product A and product B, right? And you can see in case of product B, the company is having losses. You can see here. In case of product B, the company is having losses, right? And in case of product A, company is having gain, right? What do you think? If a company have a loss somewhere, what should the company do, right? Acha, tell me, whether the company should shut down product B or whether the company should continue the production of product B. Write in comment what the company should do. Yes, write in comment whether the company should shut down or the company should continue the production of product B. So the point is that it is written here one line, what? This line, right? So if you shut down the production of B, right? If we shut down the production of B, what will happen? The sale of product A will fall down, right? So though you can see in product B, company have the loss, right? But what will happen if you shut down this to save? See, if you shut down this, if you shut down what? Production of B, what will happen? just to save how much? $2 lakh, for example, we are assuming it lakh, right? If you just shut down the product B to save it, what will happen? You have a profit in product A. What is the profit in product A? 20 into 20 is the profit in product A. This profit will decline by 25%, right? So you can see what is it coming. So you can see, if you will shut down this to save 2 lakh, what will happen? You will lose 5 lakh rupees, right? Here you will have this loss, 5 lakh. What is good? Is it good to have a loss of 2 lakh? Or is it good to have loss of 5 minus 2? 3 lakh. What is good? Is it good to have a loss of 2 lakh? Or is it good to have a loss of 3 lakh? What is good? Obviously, this first one is good. It's better that we should continue producing product B and we should continue incurring a loss of 2 lakh. This is better. Keep producing B and keep incurring a loss of 2 lakh. That's good for the organization. But it is not good for the organization to shut down it. If you shut down this, if you close it completely, what will happen? It has an impact on the sale of A also. The profit of A will reduce by 25%, or the sale will be reduced by 25%, right? Accordingly, the profit will reduce by 25%, right? So 5 lakh you will lose, then what? Your loss will be 5 lakh, right? Just to save 2 lakh, you will incur a loss of 5 lakh. So there will be net loss of 3 lakh, right? So no, it's not prudent to shut down this business. It's not good to shut down this business, right? Okay. So we have a next question. What do you think? Is it good to have preventive maintenance in the organization? Is it good to have preventive maintenance in the organization? Okay, so what is it? What is preventive maintenance? Let's discuss this. So we have just discussed that the organization have two approach. One is what? Proactive approach, right? One is what? Reactive approach. An organization can have these two approach: reactive approach, proactive approach. Now, what is the reactive approach? You have done the blunders, you have done the mistakes, right? You have produced the defective units, you have done the blunders, then you are correcting them, right? This is what? Reactive approach. Your reaction, you are giving your reaction, right? So this happened where? This happened in traditional cost management, right? And what is proactive approach? We are not allowing to produce the defective units. We are always taking proactive decisions. No defective unit is allowed. No mistake in the organization is allowed, right? So where we are taking the decision in such a way that we have already told everyone no mistakes is allowed, no defect is allowed. We have already, in such way where we take the decision as a proactive approach, right? So what will happen? This is actually strategic cost management, right? Where we take proactive approach, right? So preventive maintenance comes here, right? You will learn about this topic later on in chapter 3, more in detail about preventive maintenance, right? We will learn this more in detail, right, in chapter 3. So the point is that the question is what? What is good for the organization? What is good for the organization? Where the management is focused on cost reduction and cost saving, is it good for the organization? Or preventive maintenance is good for the organization? So you can read the question. What is good for an organization? Where the management is focused on cost reduction or cost saving, right? So repair machinery is carried out as and when machinery breakdown. Is it good? I mean, see, you can see this is what mistake has happened. Mistake has happened, right? You have done the mistake, right? There is breakdown, machine is breakdown, and now everyone is sitting idle, right? They're just waiting. Oh, once the machine will rework, then only they can produce the goods. So you can imagine that in such case, what will happen when the machine will break down? What will happen? The laborers are sitting idle. They're not producing the goods. So all the indirect expenses, you're incurring the indirect expenses, you're using the light, your AC, you're using everything, all resources, but you're not producing the goods. This will result in loss of resources. So what will happen? This will result in loss of resources, right? While in case of preventive maintenance, what will happen? You are regularly maintaining the machines, right? So you know, okay, my machines are working very well and there is no chances of defect. I know that, right? Where you know that machine is working very well and there is no chances of defect, it will come under what? Regular machinery maintenance. All right, it will come under regular machinery maintenance. So which one is good out of them? If you will see, yes. So which one is good? First or second, A or B? B option is good, right? B is good. Why B is good? Because here we are not at all allowing to do the mistake. It's a proactive approach. We are already taking a decision in such a way that we are not allowing to produce defects, right? It's a proactive approach. So B is good. Okay, next question. Okay, so what is happening here? There is an e-commerce company, right? So the e-commerce company has closed down some of customer service centers. So you know that every organization have their customer service center. So when you purchase a goods from any brand online, right? You purchase any product online, right? And you don't like the product, right? You can immediately change it. You have option to get your money back also, right? And if it's not being resolved, you can call them on their customer care center, right? So the point is that every organization have a customer care centers, right? Like ICI, they also have a customer care center, right? So if you have any queries, you can call them and you can ask your doubts, right? You can ask your problems, right? So the point is that every organization have their customer service center where they try to provide customer assistant. They try to provide help to the customer, right? So what is happening here? This e-commerce internet company is closed down one of its customer service center. Why? To cut the cost, to reduce the cost saving, right? To save the cost, they have shut down one of the customer service center. Now the question is that, do you think it's good that the company has shut down it's one of the customer service center? So the question is it good? So is it good for the organization? Yes, is it good? This is not at all good for the organization. No, not at all. I mean, why we have shut down the customer service center? To reduce the cost, right? We have shut down it to reduce the cost. But the point is that this is not the good way to reduce the cost. Actually, instead of reducing the cost, what will happen? It will create a bad image, right, amongst the customer about the company. Oh, this company is very bad. They never resolve the query. This organization is very bad. I have so many complaints with this organization. See, the point is that we earn the money, we earn the revenue from the customer. So we should always focus on pleasing the customer. We should always focus on impressing, keeping them happy is a good strategy, right? Why? Because if the customer will happy, then what will happen? One customer will bring you more customer. Oh, go to that organization. That organization is very good. Oh, see, buy this product from this brand. This brand is very good. Their services is very good. If you will have any problem, they will resolve it immediately. See, this is how the customer behave, right? And the point is that if you will see, strategic cost management is customer focus approach. We focus on customer. We always want to keep them happy, right? So strategic cost management is a customer focus approach, and you can see it's a long term decision making process, right? The focus is on long term. Matlab, for example, it is acceptable that we have a loss in short term. That's okay. In 1 month, in 1 quarter, or in 1 year, we have the losses. That's completely okay. If that loss will give you profitability in next 5 years, or it will give you profitability in next 10 years, then such short term loss is always welcome. That's okay. If I'm having a loss for 1 year, and why I'm incurring losses? Because I'm providing customer service that is increasing the cost, and for that reason I have loss. That's okay. That's completely acceptable, because if you provide a good service to the customer will be happy. And in long run, what will happen? One customer will bring you more customer. Then those customer will bring you more customers. So in this way, by referring other, by word of mouth, your customer will increase. And if the customer will increase, the revenue of the organization will increase. And if the revenue of the organization will increase, the profitability of entire organization will increase. So this is how the things happen. So what do you think? What is good? Is it good to reduce the cost by removing the customer service center? Or is it good to keep incurring the cost on customer service center? Right? Keep incurring the cost here. Right? What will happen? It will increase the goodwill of the company, right? It will increase the goodwill of the company. Then what will happen? In next 10 years, you will get the profit, right? Maybe next 5 years, you will get the profit. Next 3 years, you will get the profit. Means it's a long-term vision. So you can see traditional cost management is short-term focus, right? They just want to make the money in a month or a quarter, in a year. Short-term. They focus on short-term goals, right? But strategic cost management, it focuses on long-term vision. Okay, if I have lost right now, but if it will give me profitability in next 10 years, acceptable. Short-term losses are acceptable if it will give me profitability in long-term time periods. So this is how it behaves, right? This is how it behaves. I hope you are all understanding. If you have any doubt, you can ask me, right? So far we have studied about the difference between traditional cost management and strategic cost management. We have learned the difference, right? So what is it? We have learned that traditional cost management is what is having a short-term goals, right? It focuses on short-term concepts, right? Short-term goals, short-term profitability, right? So this is what traditional cost management. But if you will see strategic cost management, long-term vision, right? So here you just want to achieve the profitability in 1 month, or you just want to achieve the profitability in 1 quarter, or you want to achieve the profitability in 1 year. So this is how it works, traditional cost management. But if you will see this strategic cost management, it focuses on 5-year goal, right? Or 10-year goal. This is strategic cost management, long-term vision, right? Okay. Then we have understood that traditional cost management focus on internal factor. Here we are only focused on what is the raw material required for the production, what is the labor required for production, what is the direct expenses the company will incur for the production, right? What are the indirect expenses the company will incur for the production, right? So if you will see, entire traditional cost management was what? Internally focused. They don't see what happening outside. They're not least bother. They're least bother what is happening outside. But if you will see the strategic cost management, they consider the internal environment, they consider the external environment, like political, right? How politicians are affecting your business. How if there is any change in law will affect your business. How economy, economy is very dynamic, it keep on changing, right? So how economy will change the decision of the organization, right? Technology, right? You can see these days, I mean, artificial intelligence is booming around the world, right? Artificial intelligence, chat gpt is resolving so many problems, right? So the point is that if you ignore the such changes, what will happen? You will become obsolete. You don't know about the recent new things, right? Obviously then you are not making an innovative product, right? So the point is that it is important to consider the technological changes in the around your organization, right? Then it is important to consider the uh, opportunities. It is important to consider the opportunities you have. It is important to consider the weakness you have, threat you have, right? And Potter's 5 forces model, we will study about it more in detail, right? So the point is that if you will see, in case of strategic cost management, we consider these, right? We consider these in internal environment, but along with the internal environment, we consider the external environment also, right? We consider the external environments also, right? Okay, so this is how the things happen here. Next is cost drivers. So we have just learned here that in case of traditional cost management, we only consider one cost driver. Matlab, here we are just relating the cost with the units. Here we are just relating the cost with units. Production, right? We are relating it with the production. That's it. Here we are just relating the cost with the production. Not good. It's not a good way of taking decision. What is the good way? Activity-based costing, right? You have learned about the activity-based costing in your basic classes. Okay? So it is good to relate the cost with the activities, right? We will learn about it more in detail. So you can see in strategic cost management, they relate the cost with various factors, various activity, not alone with the units, not alone with the production. So this is the difference, right? Okay. We will learn about all these topics in detail in our session, right? It will all come in detail later on. Okay. Here we are just considering the difference. Then if you will see strategic cost management, you are just focusing on preparing the income statement of the company. You are just focusing on preparing the balance sheet of the company. You are just focusing on variance analysis. You're just focusing on budgeting, right? Problems related to variance analysis. See, you can see, we are just focusing on these factors in case of traditional cost management. While in case of strategic cost management, see the perspective. Here, what is happening? You want to prepare an innovative product, right? Product differentiation, right? You want to create your organization different from other organization. You want to make an organization which is completely different from other organization, right? So what is happening here? We focus on what? Cost leadership or differentiation. We focus on this, right? Okay. Then cost reduction. Here what happened? We focus on just cost reduction. But here what happened? We consider the cost reduction and we focus on strategies which improves the value to the customer. Okay, we will study about it more in detail later. The next is risk averse approach. Risk averse approach means don't want to take risk. Don't want to take risk. Here we don't want to take risk. Risk averse approach means avoiding the risk. Oh, like you can see some people, if I have money, if people have money, they have two options. They can keep their money in bank and earn FD interest. Second, you have the option, invest your money in share market, earn the returns from the market, right? But what bank FD interest income is risk avoiding approach. You are not taking any risk. Your money is very safe in bank. You will earn the interest from the bank. It is what risk avoiding approach. While if you will see the other way, right? Risk-taking approach. Like if I have money and I'm investing the money in share market, I earn very good money. very good return from share market. So you can see if you get a return from bank as 7%, in market you can get even 40, 50, 60% return, right? So the point is that what is your approach? What is the approach of your organization? So if you will see traditional cost management, where we were producing the defective units, where we were allowing to have mistake in the organization, then we were taking the corrective actions. That was all focused on risk avoiding approach. We don't want to take the risk. And here what is happening? We are taking the risk, and see how smart they are. I mean, they are taking the risk, and how and why they are taking the risk. See how smartly they are actually taking the risk. See, they are taking the risk. Why they are able to take the risk? For a reason, because they are not just considering the internal environment, what is happening inside the organization. They are also focusing on external environment also, right? So देखो चारों तरफ से आंखें खुली हुई है, right? You are observing everything, what is happening inside the organization, what is happening outside the organization. I mean, you're observing everything, right? And after the observation of everything, what is happening? You're making the strategies for the organization. You're taking the decision of the organization. So the point is that here they have ability to take the risk. Why? You can take the risk when you are very aware, right? When you have full knowledge. So like I am a chartered accountant, right? And I personally am telling you that I invest my money in share market a lot, and I earn very good return from share markets. Why? Because I'm a chartered accountant. I have good knowledge about the financial accounting. I have good knowledge about, everything about the companies, about their returns, how to analyze it. So I have good knowledge about it. So for that reason, I know about everything, right? So if you know about everything, you can take the risk, right? So this is what is happening in strategic cost management. In case of strategic cost management, they have ability to take the risk, right? Because they are observing both internal and external environment. They are considering everything, right? Okay. So now I hope the difference is clear to all. You can imagine how smart strategy it is. See, higher the risk, higher the return, right? If you want to earn the return, you have to take the risk. But how smart they are. Imagine what we have learned here. It is not a reactive approach. It's a proactive approach. They're not allowing even a single defect, no defect at all. No defect, right? They're not allowing to have any defect, no error at all, right? No error. They're not allowing any error, right? No defect, no error. Imagine no mistake, right? And still they are managing the cost. I mean, cost will also be reduced here. We will learn this later on. Cost will reduce, profitability will increase. How smart they are. They're increasing the profitability. And what? It is long term. The profit will not remain with you for 1 year or 2 years. That will remain with you for 10 years, 15 years. I mean, they're taking decisions such a way that it will increase the profitability for next 10 or 10, 20 years, long-term vision, right? So it will increase the profit for next 20 years, maybe, right? See how smart they are. I'm so impressed with their strategies, right? How smart they are. Right, they're taking the risk. They're considering all internal and external environment. They're not just considering the financial factors. They are not just considering the finance, money, right? They're also considering the non-financial factors also, right? They're considering everything, right? Non-finance factor. And then they are taking the decision. How smart, right? And see, the profitability is not limited for 1 year or 2 years. It is for a long time period. So this is the best approach. For that reason, we have strategic cost management. All right. Okay. Now, if you will see here, component of strategic cost management. So what are the component of strategic cost management here? Right. So you can see we have strategic positioning analysis. We have cost driver analysis. And we have value chain analysis, right? So these are the analysis which will help you in strategic cost management. I hope you all understood how important it is to have strategic cost management in the organization. How it is important, right? How the strategic cost management is important for organization, right? Okay, now let's try to understand it. Okay, give me 1 minute. So let's try to understand. So you can see this image, right? So the point is that we have just learned the benefits of strategic cost management. What is the benefit? Profit is not limited to 1 year. Profit is for next 10 or 20 years, right? And profit will be more as compared to traditional cost management. You're not producing defective units. You are not incurring any error, any mistake in the organization. You're only earning the money, right? You only have the money, right? So if you will see this strategic positioning analysis, we have this topic. Okay. So what is it? So if you will see here, what is happening, that you can see this person, right? He's standing here. This is the organization. Assume it as organization, right? And this organization wants to take themselves, this is the present situation of the organization, right? And this organization goal is to achieve, profitability next 20 years, to increase the revenue of the company next 20 years. So here what is happening, the goal is for next 20 years, whatever they want to achieve in long-term visions. Okay? So this is the organization. Now what will happen? If you want to be successful in long-term time period, right, what do you have to consider? You should know what is happening internally in the organization. You should know the internal environment of the organization. You should know your resources, your raw material, your labor, your direct expenses, your all indirect expenses. You should know about all the internal environment of the organization, right? And then you should have enough knowledge about the external environment. I told you, political environment, how politicians are impacting your business, how if the law will change, will impact your business, how the government policies will impact your business, how if the economy will change, it will impact your business, how the competitor will impact your business. Right? So I hope you can understand that how important it is to understand the external environment also, right? So what will happen? We will see what is happening inside the organization. It is important to understand your own organization. Then see what is happening around, right? External environment. Then see what are your strengths, what are your weakness, right? What opportunities you have, what threat you have, right? So strength and weakness is internal environment. Strength is internal, weakness is internal, opportunities is external, threat is external, right? So you are observing everything, right? After observing everything, what will happen? You will frame the strategies, right? Because we have learned, in case of strategic cost management, we are not focused on cost management only. We're not at all focused on cost management. We are focused on strategic cost management. So first we understand what strategy we should frame under the given internal and external environment to achieve the goal, right? What strategy we should follow, right? So the organization will create their value, culture, system, right, to achieve the goal, long-term goals, not the short-term goals. This is what strategic positioning analysis. This point is known as what? Strategic positioning analysis. You are analyzing your position, strategic position, right? Here we analyze our strategic positions, right? So this will come under strategic positioning analysis. All right. Okay. So you can see, if you will see, in case of strategic position, right? You can see what we have these 3 points. What are these 3 points? First, we see the internal environment, what resources we have, what are our raw material, labor, overheads, right? What are our external environment, right? Then we will see what are the company's own value, culture, system, right? Accordingly, this will give a position, a strategic position for the company. Then we will do the cost management, right? So it all started with all these things, right? Now the question comes here, ma'am, that what is this value culture system? Okay. So the point is that every organization have their own values. They have their own culture, right? So let me show you some value and culture. So I've taken this from internet, right? So these are some examples of values defined by the companies, or the culture, organization culture defined by the company, right? You can see. Okay. So this is how the company defines all their core values, their culture, right? Core values and culture and everything. This is how the company defined. So let's take an example. Okay. For core values. Like you can see, a company can define that the company want growth, right? Company want connections, company want people, company want creativity, company want passion, right? This is all what? This is all what? Core value of the company. So in this way, every company defines their values, right? Their core values. Every company defines their core values, right? So this is what we have learned. Okay? Before defining the core value of the company will first consider the internal environment. The company will first consider the external environment, right? Company will consider everything. Then accordingly, company will decide their own core values, culture, right? System, how the process of the organization will be to achieve the goal. Okay? So you can see some organization, you must have heard that, oh, so Google have very good working culture, right? RBS have very good working culture. American Express have very good working culture. So the point is that you must have heard that these companies have very good working culture, right? So the point is that we consider the values, cultures, system, right? Accordingly, we frame the strategy of the organization to achieve the goal of the organization. This is how the things happen. Okay. So far we have learned so many things about the external environment. We have discussed that how important it is to understand the external environment and internal environment, right? Okay. Okay. Now the question comes here about the cost. What is cost? This is the question. What is cost for the organization? If I'll ask, what is cost? What is cost for the organization? Yes. What is cost? What do you understand by cost? Okay, let me discuss. So cost is what? See, the point is that for the production of final good, right? Or for the for providing the final services. Okay, when I want to provide a service, like right now I'm teaching you, you know how many equipment I'm using around me. I can see I have 2 laptop, 1 DSLR camera, 2 Wacom around me, and 2 pen around me, and 2 phone around me. So many resources. Just for one class, I'm using so many resources. Right, this curtain, this green chroma curtain, and 3-4 stand around me, and so many resources. I'm using the lights. I can see so many lights around me. My AC is working, right? So I'm using so many resources, right? Point is that when we want to sell a good or when we want to provide a service, we need a resources. Now the question is that they are not free in nature, right? These resources, I'm using a Wacom, it's very costly. I purchased it recently, it's very costly, right? I have an extra spare Wacom, right? I have these 2 laptops. It's not free, right? I have not received it for free. I'm using a DSLR, which is cost around 1 lakh rupees. It's not free, right? And stand, everything. Light is not free at my home. I pay bill, right? So the point is that I'm using the resources just for providing 1 classes. It is not free. Point is that whenever we want to provide a service, whenever we want to sell a good, we use some resources. It is not possible. For me, it is not possible to give you a class without a camera. For me, it is not possible for me to teach you without laptop, without Zoom application, right? So the point is that we need resource for providing the service, and these resources are not free in nature. So whatever the money I'll pay to procure these resources, whatever the money I'll pay to procure these resources is cost, right? This is cost. Okay. Okay. So now the question comes, what are the factors that are responsible for the cost of the final product? So point is that if you will see traditional cost management, in case of traditional cost management, we only consider what? The production, how many units we are producing. That's it. And we relate the cost with the production. This is happening in traditional cost management, right? But what will happen in strategic cost management? We do not just consider the unit which we are producing. Instead, we consider what the cost driver. You must have heard these words, cost driver, right? I don't know that how many of you know about the meaning of cost driver. I don't know whether you know. I don't know how much of you know about the cost driver. Okay. I don't know how much you know about the cost driver. Let me explain still, right? I assume that you don't know. Okay. Cost driver means factors that are driving the cost. Right? Cost driver means factors that are driving the cost. Now, what is it, ma'am? So the point is that if these factors will change, the cost of the entire organization will change. Okay. How is it, ma'am? For example, I'll give you an example. If area of my factory is 1000 square feet. Okay. This is the area. So for example, for this area, I'm paying a rent of 50,000. Okay. Now what will happen, for example, in next month or next quarter or next year, I want to increase the area of my factory. So now I have increased the area of my factory from 1000 to 5000 square feet. Now what will happen? Obviously, the rent will increase or not? The rent of factory will increase or not? Say yes or no. It will increase or not? The rent of the factory will increase or not? It will increase. It will increase. Similarly, for example, I have canteen in my organization, right? I have canteen in my organization. And in that canteen, I'm providing meal to employee. Okay. In case if the number of employee increase, what will happen? If the number of employee increase, the cost of meal will increase or not? Cost of meal will increase. My point is that if you will observe, the cost in the organization is actually not related to final product. It's actually not related to final product. You can see, right? So for that reason, what is happening here in traditional cost management, we relate entire cost with the units, with the production unit. But if you will see in case of strategic cost management, we relate the cost with activity. We relate the cost with the cost drivers. Cost driver means factors that are driving the cost. Matlab, if those factors will change, the cost will change. Like here we have taken an example, if the area square feet will change, area square feet of factory will change, the rent of factory will change. If the area of square feet of factory will change, the rent of factory will change. So this is what factors which is changing the cost, factors which is driving the cost, right? So these are cost drivers. Similarly, you can see here canteen meals, like, there are some factory which have canteens also, right? So what will happen if the number of employees will increase, the canteen meal expenses will increase, the cost will increase. So you can see cost is not related to final product or services, right? So for that reason, what is happening here, in case of strategic cost management, we find the cost drivers, right? Factors which are driving the cost. We relate the cost with the cost drivers, right? Now, if you will see here, we have two type of structure, right? You can see cost driver analysis. So we have two type of cost driver analysis. One is what? Structural cost driver analysis. And the second one is what? Executional cost driver analysis. Now let's try to understand what is structural cost driver analysis, what is execution cost driver analysis, right? Let's try to understand. See, we have just discussed that cost driver means what? Factors that are driving the cost. Right? So cost driver means factors that are driving the cost. Matlab, if those factors will change, the cost of the organization will change, right? This is cost driver. Okay. So you can see the cost driver definition is very clear. Okay. Factors, cost driver means driver. So factors that are driving the cost. So if those factors will change, the cost will change, right? So here they have divided it into two forms. One is structural cost driver and the second one is executional cost driver. Now let's try to understand the structural cost driver and the executional cost driver. Let's try to understand. Okay. So what is structural cost driver or cost driver? Okay. Abhi, cost driver means factors that change the cost. If those factors will change, cost will change, right? Now here the word is what? Structural cost driver means if the structure of the organization will change, the cost will change, right? You are relating the cost with the structure of the organization. If the structure of the organization will change, the cost will change, right? So if you will see here, what is happening here? In case of structural cost driver of the organization, what is happening? They're relating the cost with the structure of the organization, right? Okay, so you can see actual cost is actually changing with the structure of the organization. Now, what is the meaning of structure here, ma'am? What is it? Give me 1 minute. So you can see when the scale and scope of operation of the company will change, right? Scale means what? How many units you are producing. So if you produce more units, the cost will increase. If you produce less units, the cost will decrease. Maybe they are relating it. See, unit is one of the factor, but unit is always a factor is not good, right? One of the factor is yes. If the unit will increase, if the production will increase, yes, the cost will increase. If the production will decrease, yes, the cost will decrease. It is one of the factor, but it is not, it is not just one factor, one of the factor, not just one factor. So we relate the cost with the units. Then type of units, what type of product you are producing, right? These two things will decide the cost. Okay. What type of product you are producing, how many units you are producing. These two things will decide the cost. Now let's try to understand. So we have a term, economy of scale. You people must have heard this. What? Bigger is cheaper, right? Bigger is cheaper. So instead of buying 10 units, if you buy 100 units at a time, the cost will reduce. Say yes or no. If you produce less unit, the cost will be higher. If you produce more unit, the cost will be less. So you must have seen, like in retail market and wholesale market. If you purchase something 1-2 units from retail market, it will be expensive. If you buy 12 unit, 1000 unit, 100 unit from the wholesale market, it will be cheap. Okay. So what is happening? Number of units. If you are increasing the number of units, cost per unit, fixed cost per unit will decrease. Right? So this is what economy of scale. So you can see cost is actually changing because what? the structure is changing because the number of units you are producing is changing, right? You can see. So structure cost driver means where if the number of units will change, the cost will change, right? That will be your one example, right? That will be one example. Next is technology, right? So when the technology will change in the organization, right? What will happen? If the technology will change, the costs may change, right? So for example, we have two type of organization. Earlier, we were producing the goods using human efforts, right? So human were involved in manufacturing process, right? I'll give you an example of Ford company. You know, Ford, in case of Ford company, they have done business process re-engineering and they replaced in 70% of their employees with the robot. This happened in few years back. So they removed 75% of their employee with robot, and their entire production process happens using the robots. So the point is that what is happening? Technology is changing. Robots are replacing humans. Artificial intelligence, you can't even imagine how it will impact the world, right? So human efforts, right? This is just an example. Technology, if the technology will change, the cost will change. Cost per unit will change, right? So this is also one of the factor that changes the cost. Okay? That changes the cost. Next is what? Robot chef, right? So I don't know how many of you know about robot chef. Okay. So this has recently happened. Actually, if you will search on internet, you will find a robot which cook food, right? And the taste of the food is just amazing. It's equal to what you eat in 5-star hotels, 5 or 7 stars hotel. Okay. So the taste is amazing. Can you imagine a machine is cooking food for you? And it's even better than what you get in a 5-star hotel or a 7-star hotel. Yes. So if you will search on internet, you will get such robot which actually cook food for you, right? And how is it happening? Artificial intelligence. How is it happening? So what is this? The next point is about what? Give me 1 minute. So the next topic is about the technology, right? So how robot, again, it's a technology, change in technology, artificial intelligence, right? So how the technology is changing the cost of the organization, right? So when you're using the machines, it may increase, right? Instead of chef, you know, I know there are some chefs who get 5 crore as a salary, monthly salary, annual salary. I know people earn in this industry, people earn this much, right? If they are really good chef, right, they earn this much, right? So the point is that you are replacing this with just a machine of, for example, just 1 crore machine, and your all-time problem is resolved. So what is happening here? Technology will decide the cost, right? If the technology will change, what technology you are using, that will decide the cost. Okay. That will decide the cost, right? What we are relating, that how cost is not just related to production. Cost is related to many other factors, right? Give me 1 minute. If you people have doubt, please write your doubt in comment. I'm reading your doubts also. Is it all clear? Whatever we are learning, whatever we have studied. Is it all clear? Okay, I'm sharing the screen. So you can see here, this is a robot which cook food, right? And the taste is even better than what you get from 5-star hotels. So what is happening? The technology is replacing the humans, right? And yes, it decides the cost. So for example, if you're paying a salary to a chef of 5 crore rupees, you have replaced that chef with a machine of 1 crore rupees. Technology decide the cost, right? So yes, technology, change in technology will decide the cost, right? Okay. What else? And you must have heard about ChatGPT, right? These days, this is one of the very famous things, right? Okay, now the next is what? Learning curve. We will learn more about learning curve. I don't know how much you know about learning curve. Okay. So learning curve also decide the cost of the organization. How? So you will see that when we hire an employee for the first time, they are very inefficient. They're not good in production. They do not give a good services. Initially, they're very inefficient, right? Then what will happen? Inefficient means what? They produce less units. They do more defects. They do more mistakes, more errors, right? So this is what, this happened with everyone, right? If you're not an expert, if you're an employee, for example, right? Initially, they will produce defective units. They will do the mistakes, right? Gradually, what will happen? If they repeat the same task again and again, they repeat the same task again and again, again and again, again and again. What will happen? You will learn. When you repeat the same thing every day again and again, what will happen? You will learn it, right? And gradually, what will happen? You will become an expert. Like you're a student right now. If you will study the same thing, you keep on revising everything again and again, every day, you are very consistent with your studies. What will happen? One day you clear the exam, you will become expert, right? So the point is that this is learning curve, right? You will become more efficient, right? So here what will happen? The employee will become efficient, very efficient, no defect, less defect, or you can say, he will produce more units in less time. He will take less time to do the work, the same task, right? So this is learning curve. Again, so if you will see this learning curve, the cost is high here. Cost is high here, right? Why cost is high here? Because this labor is unskilled. He's wasting the resources here. And resources equal to cost, actually. You can see what I'm using here, resources. I gave you an example, right? I'm using so many lights. I can count, 8, 10 lights I'm using in my room, right? Light. I'm using 2 laptops, 2 Wacom, 2 phones, camera, 3 stands, so many products, right? So the point is that what? We use the resources, right? So what will happen? Learning curve, yeah. So in case these are what resources and they are not free, we have to pay the money, right? In case if the labor will do the defects, rework, mistakes, what will happen? Mistake, rework, defect means he is wasting the resource. When you waste the resource, you are wasting the cost. It will result in cost, actually. When we waste the resources, it will result in cost, which is not good for the organization. So you can see this is learning curve. When the employee will become perfect, he will learn it. After repeating the task again and again, he become expert. So what will happen? He will save the cost. No cost. I mean, obviously, less cost, right? Why? Because he is using, with less resources, he is producing more goods. This is what learning curve. With less resources, he will produce more goods. Why? Because he has learned the work, right? He keep, after repeating the same task again and again, he learned it. After learning, obviously. So for example, when you solve the question for first time, you will take more time. But when you will practice it more and more, after some time, what will happen? You can solve it like this. You will take very less time to solve the same question, same type of question. So this is learning, right? This is learning. I hope it is clear. So learning curve affect the cost, right? Initially, in case of learning curve, initially the cost will be high. Later on, the cost will reduce, right? Then what we have? Product life cycle. So you can see here, in this case, we have a product life cycle. We will study about it more in detail in our chapter 4. Okay? You will learn it more in detail in chapter 4. This is what? Product life cycle. So you can see in this, ठीक है, a product will go through all these stages: growth, introduction stage, growth stage, maturity stage, and decline stage. We will learn it. See, don't worry, I'm not explaining you in detail. We will learn it in chapter 3 or 4. Okay. So what is happening here? You can see initially the company have losses. You can see it is negative here, right? Below 0. So this is what? This is loss, right? This portion gives losses here. It's loss, right? Then gradually what will happen? After the growth stage, the company will start earning the profit. What is happening? What we are learning? Under different stage, the costs are different, right? So structure, right? So for structure will decide the cost of the organization, right? And if the organization is having very complex working environment, structure that decide the cost of the organization, right? All right. So there is an MCQ question. If you want, you can answer me this MCQ question. Yes, you can answer this question. So structure, cost driver are not related to what? Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. So if you will see, this question is related to what? Structure, cost driver. Okay. So it is related to number of unit. We have learned that with number of units, the cost is related. So it is related to number of unit. It is related to type of unit which you are producing, right? It is related to structure of the organization. Okay. Scale means number of units we are producing. Here, scale means how many units we are producing, right? Scope means what type of units we are producing, and structure of the organization. All these 3 points will give you what? Cost driver, structure, cost driver. With the structure, the cost will vary. With, if the number of unit will change, the cost will vary. If the type of output will change, the cost will vary. And if the structure of the organization will change, if the organization have all unskilled employee, cost will change. If the company have all skilled employee, cost will change, right? If the company is in introduction stage, cost will be different. If the company will be in growth stage, cost will be different. So the point is that structure of the organization decides the cost, right? So the last point is the wrong point, right? Okay. Okay. Okay, let's take a break. Let's take a break of 10 minutes, then we will get back. Okay. So welcome back. So we have studied about the strategic cost drivers. Now we will study about the executional cost driver, right? So let me give you again a clarification about the structure cost driver, right? So we have learned about the structure cost driver. About this, we have learned what that this is what this depend on what this depend on the structure, right? And now structure means the scope and scale, you know, scope and scale. Okay. Scope scale means what units we are producing, what type of units you are producing, right? So we have learned about it. It is related to structure of the organization. Okay. So when the structure will change, the cost will change. Okay. Driver means driver, you know, right? The one who drive the car. Similarly, the factors which drive the cost, right? If the factors will change, the cost will change, right? So this is what happening here, right? Okay. Now the next is what executional cost driver. So what will happen here in case of executional cost driver? So executional cost driver is based on how you are executing the task. The way you execute the task will change the cost, right? So it is what, if you will see, this method is based on what? This method is based on management style and scope, right? How the management is behaving, how they are making a policy of the company, right? What are their style of work, right? So executing, how they are working, executing, right, will decide the cost, is your executional cost driver. All right. So how we are using all the resources, the way we are using all the resources in the organization will decide the cost, is your executional cost driver. This is your executional cost driver. So if you will see, we have some method like just-in-time system, process layout, effective use of staff, right? Total quality management, continuous improvement. Now these points will come under chapter 2, 3, 4, right? So what I know you have no idea about these topics, right? And we will learn all these topics in chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. All right. This is what we are studying here. This is the way the company will execute their task, the way the company will work. Okay, we will learn this, all these topics later on, but executional cost driver means the way the company is executing the cost, right? That will be coming here. So if I'll ask you the answer of this question, can you answer the question? If I'll ask this question, can you answer the question? Execution cost driver relate to the actual operational process and the norms within the operation, right? So you can see we have these options and we are asking what is the executional cost driver. Okay. So you can see, if you will see these 3 points, it is related to structure of the organization. Structure is deciding the cost. If the structure will change, the cost will change, right? These 3 are deciding the structure of the cost. Okay. And the first one is deciding the way the management is executing the task, right? So management ka style, right? What is the management style? The policy, right? So the management style and policy is considered here. Okay. In case of executional cost driver, it is related with what? The way the management is executing the task. So management style, right? Or the management policy will come here. Okay. I know it is not clear. Okay. It will be more clear when we will study the other topic. Okay. That need time to understand. Okay. We will do it later. Okay. Now this is the most important topic of our subject. Matlab, abhi tak whatever we have studied was just a base of entire your strategic cost management. But this is the most important topic. What is it? Value chain analysis. The most important topic we have is value chain analysis. Okay. So if you will see, this is not a very old strategy, very recently developed by Michael Porter, right? Around 20 years back. This was developed by Michael Porter. Okay. Value chain analysis. What is it, ma'am? The first question will come in your mind. What is value chain, ma'am? So value chain means a chain of activity. I'll show you how. Give me 1 minute. So you can see. So we have purchased this raw material here, right? We have purchased a raw material here from the market. Okay. We purchased the raw material from the market, from the supplier, right? We purchased the raw material from the supplier. We have done a deal with the supplier. We bought the raw material in the factory, okay, for the production. Then we convert the raw material. We convert the raw material into what? Final good, right? We convert the raw material into final goods, right? Conversion to final goods. Then what happened? We distribute the final goods all across wherever you want to sell. For example, you want to sell the goods all across India. So you will distribute the product all across India, right? Distribution. Then what will happen? The product will reach to the customer. Customer will consume the product. After that, it is possible that he will take after sale services, right? For example, I have laptop. If it is not working well, I'll go to the company to fix it. I have purchased some electronic item at home. If it will not work well, I'll go to the company to fix it. So the point is that after sale services, right? So if you will see, value chain analysis will consider all these points. Okay, give me 1 minute. So what is value chain? Value chain is a chain of activity. Product will pass through those activity, gaining value at each stage. This is actually the definition of value chain. Okay, so in your LMS, you will see, in your material, you will see this. This is what Michael Porter value chain developed in 1985. Right, give me 1 minute, yes. This is a value chain. Okay, so you can see the first point is what? The first point is inbound logistic. What is inbound logistic? Buy the raw material. Okay, raw material. So in case of inbound logistic, we buy the raw material from the supplier. Okay, we consider that how we will handle them. After buying the raw material, where we will keep them? Warehouse or where, right? So where do you want to keep the raw material after buying them, right? So this all will come here under inbound logistic. All these decisions, how we will buy the raw material, from whom we will buy the raw material, who will be the supplier of the company, we will buy the raw material, we will bring it in the warehouse of the company, we will store in warehouse, who will be the storekeeper, insurance of raw material, everything related to raw material will come under here, inbound logistic. After that, operation. Operation means we will convert the raw material into final goods. So you have here you have just transferred the raw material. This raw material will be converted into final goods. This is operation, right? Converting the raw material into a final good is an operation. Operating, right? Operating. What will happen? You will get a final good after the operation. Okay. So what is happening? Like you can see machining, assembling, or testing product, right? So machining means you have converted the raw material into final good. Like you have purchased the timber, with the timber you have produced the chairs, okay, furnitures. So this is what production. So you have produced the goods by using the machines, okay. Production. Assembly like computer assembly, you know, people, I mean the organization, they purchases the part, they assemble it and sell it, right? Or like cycle, so they purchase different part of the cycle, assembled it, sell it. Like in automobile company, they purchases different part of automobiles, they assemble them and then they sell it. So assembly that will come under operation, converting the raw material into final goods. After the preparation of final goods, the question comes how to sell it, right? Because once we produce the final goods, we want to sell it, right? Once we produce the final goods, we want to decide that how we will sell them. Okay, how we will sell them? Sale. Okay. For sale, we will see how we will advertise them, their advertisement expenses, promotional expenses, right? What pricing, at what price we will sell them, right? Who will be the distributor? How, with the help of distributor, you will sell the goods, right? Who will be the retailer, wholesaler of your product? So this will all come under marketing and sales, how you will sell the product. Now you can see just the sale is not enough. You have sold the goods here, but the point is that the sale is not enough. You can see the sale is not enough, right? After selling the goods, it is possible that you have to provide after sale services, right? So there are many products for which we get after sale services. Like, for example, if you purchase the product through Myntra, everyone knows Myntra, right? We all know Myntra. We purchase the clothes from Myntra online. So if you purchase the product from Myntra, they give you customer care center number. Customer care center number. So if you have any issues with the clothes, with return policy, with refund policy, you can immediately call them. Arey bhai, we have purchased the clothes. Why have you not given us a refund? Right? So in this way, what will happen? You can complain to customer care service center. That will come under after sale services, right? So this is what after sale service will include. Installation of the product, like when we purchase the AC, we need installation of AC, right? Repair of the product if it is not working well after the sale, or replacement or refund, everything will come under here, after sale services. So this is a value chain. Value chain means a chain of activities. You can see what is happening. The product is being produced here, or you are selling the product, or you're buying the raw material. So this is what a chain with which you will, from the raw materials to final goods, you will produce the goods, you will sell it to the customer. After sale services, a chain of activity. These are all activity. How you will do the first activity, then second activity, then third activity, fourth activity, buying the raw material, converting the raw material into final goods, selling the final goods. Then what will happen after sale services? It is a chain of activity. Okay. So it's a chain of activity. Value chain is a chain of activities. Okay. From buying the raw material to sale of final good to after sale services, a chain of activity. Okay. So these are all what primary activity. You can see these are all primary activity. What are these? Inbound logistic operation, right? Inbound logistic operations, outbound logistic, marketing and sales services. These are all primary activity. And we have some secondary activity also. Like if you will see here, we have secondary activity. Okay. So if you will see here, we have the secondary activity. These are all secondary activity. What is it? Actually, secondary activity just support the primary activity. So you can see this is the main business of the company, right? All the primary activity are the main business of the company. And the secondary activity supports the primary activity. All right. So you can see, if you want to, for example, you have this. Give me 1 minute. So for example, we are producing the goods. 1 minute. So this is what a value chain. Value chain means chain of activity. It's a chain of activity, right? So you can see here, we have secondary activity or supporting activity. What is secondary or supporting activity? Secondary or supportive activity support the primary activity, primary business, right? Secondary activity support the primary business of the company, right? So what is the primary business of the company? Purchase the timber, okay? Produce the chairs or furnitures, sell it to the customer, after sale services. These are what? These are all the primary activity. These are all primary activity of the company. Now, supportive activity. See, this primary activity is not possible if you do not have infrastructure. Like I'm teaching you, okay, this is primary activity I'm doing, right? But for services, we do not apply. See, this value chain is only applicable. This is only applicable in case of production. Okay, value chain is not applicable for services. Okay, it is applicable for production. Now, what is happening here? We have the supporting activity. So you can see firm's infrastructure, like I'm teaching you without camera, without laptop, without this webcam, not possible for me to teach you all, right? So the point is that I need resources, I need infrastructure. Just for a small service, I need infrastructure. Same way, every organization, those who are producing the goods, they need infrastructure, they need plant and machinery, they need factory, right? They need IT support. Like you can see, Amazon is entire on IT based services, right? They need a server, they need computers, right? Infrastructure. So what will happen here? We need supporting activities. So you can see what are these supporting activity. So we have what? Firm's infrastructure, right? We need what? Management, top management, people, those who are managing the company. We need money, finance. We need legal compliances. We need to plan everything. Strategy. We have learned now that without strategy, cost management is not possible, right? We need all these things. Then what will happen? We need HR department. Those who will control all the employees, their salary, salary, employee support. Employee satisfaction is important, because if employee is not happy, who will provide the services? Who will sell the goods? Who will produce the goods? So employee satisfaction is important, and we give the employee satisfaction with the help of good HR management. Human resource management is also important for the organization, right? So that you can retain the employee. If you will retain the employee, then only you manage to do this primary activity. If you do not have employee here, who will do these work? Who will produce the goods? Who will purchase the raw material? Who will sell the goods to the distributor? Without employee, it is not possible. No. So we need an employee for all these products, and hence we need HR management also, right? We need HR management. Then what do we need? We need technology development. Technology means techniques, right? So you can see after COVID, people have switched their business to technology. People are using technology a lot in their business, right? Like you will see these days, like Domino's. Let me give you an example of Domino's. If you ordered a pizza, so like I remember just few years back before COVID, 6 years back, if I want to buy a pizza, I have to call Domino's, and then I have to order the pizza on Domino's. Then after that, I'll get the pizza, right? This was the process. We have to call to Domino's. But now what happened? If I want to buy something, there is an application of Domino's. You can select the menu. You can just order it, click it. You will get it in like 15 minutes or 20 minutes, you will get your order. So quickly at home, you can imagine. Point is that they're changing to technology. They're trying to adopt the technology, right? So what is happening here? They are saying that you need a technology everywhere, whether it is your supply chain, value chain, wherever. It is good to consider the technology, right? Then procurement process means how you are buying the raw material, how you are buying the fixed asset, machinery, right? Procuring the all resources of the organization. It's related to all resources, right? So the point is that these supporting activities support the primary activity. The primary business is not possible without these supporting activities. Your primary business is only possible when you have these supporting activities, right? Okay. So value chain means chain of activity, product pass through activity, gaining value at each stage. You can see here in this image, I have mentioned this also, right? For the primary activity, we need a supporting activity. Supporting activity supports the prime. See, this is the primary business. Primary activity is the primary business, right? But for the primary business, we need a supporting activity, right? So this is value chain, right? But it is not enough to understand. Ab now dekho, most important point. So what happened in case of value chain, we focus on providing the value to the customer. Okay. So actually there are 2 points here. One is value added activity and the other one is non-value added activity. So in the chain of activity of the organization, the company can have the value added activity and the company can have the non-value added activities. So you can see here, there are 2 types of activity, value added activity and non-value added activity. Now the question comes here, what is this value added activity and what is this non-value added activity? The question comes here. This is the question, right? What are these value added activities? So value means something for which the customer is willing to pay. You are providing something to the customer for which the customer is happily willing to pay you the money, right? Is value added activity. Non-value added activity matlab, these are some activity in the entire value chain, from procuring the raw material to selling the final goods, after sale services, entire value chain. You have some non-value added activities. Okay? Non-value added activity matlab activity which was not relevant. If you remove them, that will not make any difference, right? That is non-value added activity. So non-value added activity is nothing but just a waste in the organization. Means where you are just wasting the resource is a non-value added activity. So the point is that if the company have the value added activity, company should retain it. Okay? Company should retain it. Company should try to focus here, right? Value added activity pe focus. We need to focus here. We need to focus on value added activity. And we need to remove all the non-value added activity. Why we want to remove these non-value added activity? For a reason. Actually, these non-value added activities, nothing, it is just a waste in the organization, right? Waste. Matlab, where we are wasting the resource is non-value added activity. Okay? So the point is that they have given you 2 points here, that there are some waste which is necessary in the organization and there are some waste which are purely not required in the organization. Okay? Now the question comes, what are such wastes which are not at all required in the organization? And what are these wastes which are required in the organization? What are these points? Give me 1 minute. I'll share a screen and then I'll show you. Give me 1 minute. So if you will see here this image, right? These are all non-value added activity. Okay? Non-value added activity means these are the activity which are not creating any value to the customer. If you remove them from the organization, it is not going to impact the work of organization, right? So these are somewhat non-value added activity, but actually it is from chapter 3. So we will learn all these points in chapter 3. I've just showed you these points, but if you will see, it is from chapter 3. Okay? So these are what pure waste, and we will remove them from the organization. Okay? So just remember that in case of value chain analysis, we will see all the activities. From all the activities, we will try to find out the non-value added activities. Non-value added activity means where we are wasting the resources, waste, right? Pure waste. And then we try to eliminate them from the organization is value chain analysis, right? So you can see here again. So we have 2 types of activity. In case of value chain analysis, we try to find out the value added activities and we try to find out the non-value added activities. Okay? and we try to focus the organization on value-added activities. And we will try to remove all the non-value-added activities, right? So value-added activities, you can see, which are very valuable, that create value to the customer, and customer will happily willing to pay the money. Okay, so what is it, ma'am? Value-added, happily willing to pay the money. What is it, ma'am? So you can see. So you must have seen this. I don't know whether you know about it or not. What is value? Okay, let's try to see this image. So you must have observed that this is actually the process of what? This is actually the process of value progression. It is known as what? Value progression. So if you will see, this is a commodity, raw coffee, right? Raw coffee bean, right? So if you will see this one, right? This is what? Raw coffee bean. Okay. This is very cheap. Raw coffee bean. I don't know you have ever purchased it or not, but it's very cheap. It's not expensive. Raw coffee bean. Okay. And actually it is not so, I mean, it's not good in taste. You cannot use it directly, right? So the point is that you can see the price is very less for this. But if you will see a product coffee, the price will increase for this. And then if you want to have a prepared coffee, the price will increase more. And when you want to buy what? A coffee in a Starbucks, the price will be even more. Point is that this is what? Progression of value. What is happening here? Here, the customer is not getting much satisfaction. He is not much happy with the product, right? When you give him a powdered coffee, he will be more happy because he has to do less effort in that, right? So it is a product for them. He will do less effort. He will directly pour it in milk, and he will just stir it and he will drink. So the point is that his efforts will reduce. Matlab, you are adding the value in the product, because of which the customer is happily willing to pay you the money. This is value, right? Then what happens if you give a prepared coffee? The customer effort will reduce even more. Customer will be now very happy. Okay, I'm just, just sitting and just taking a sip of coffee. So what is happening here? You are providing more comfort to the customer. So when you will give more comfort to the customer, customer will be willing to pay you more money, right? So yes, when you will give more comfort to the customer will ready to pay you more money. Now the question comes, why the Starbucks coffees are so expensive? I've seen 350, 400. Why just for one cup of coffee you pay 350? Milk is for, you can buy 1 liter milk for 70 rupees or 80 rupees. And you can buy one packet sachet of coffee for 5 rupees, right? So you can just imagine 300 ml, 1 cup of milk and a coffee. The cost will be around somewhere 30, 40 rupees only, right? So why instead of 30, 40, you end up paying how much? 350 or 400 or sometimes 550 something, right? Point is that why in Starbucks the coffee is so expensive? For a reason. Starbucks, they just don't sell you the product. They give you an experience. The moment you spend in Starbucks, they just try to make the moment special for you, right? So they provide you Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi, sitting arrangements. They keep everything so good. The ambience, the smell, aroma, music, everything. They want to keep everything so perfect. Why? Because they just want to give you experience. So they charge you the money, not for the coffee. Right? The money is not just for the coffee. It is for the experience which you get from Starbucks. Right? The experience which you get from Starbucks. So this is value. If you give more value to the customer will give you more money. Right? Now the point is that in case of value chain analysis, we focus on such value-added activities. We focus on such activity which will create value for the customer, and the customer will happily willing to pay the more money. Is value-added activity. All right. Now the question comes, if ma'am, this is value-added activity, then ma'am, what is non-value-added activity? So non-value added activity मतलब कुछ करना लेकिन उसका कोई use नहीं होना, right? You are doing something, but it is not at all creating any benefits. It is not at all giving any benefit to the customer, right? It is just a waste in the organization. So what is value chain analysis? You will try to find out all the value added and non-value added activity. All right. So we have just considered it. The company can have these two type of activities. Company can have value added activity and the company can have non-value added activity. Right. Give me 1 minute. So you can see here, the company can have value-added activity, company can have non-value-added activity. Value-added activity matlab, which is giving more happiness to the customer, more benefit to the customer. Okay? Those are value-added activity. And we just want to focus on such activities, value-added activity, right? So we just want to focus on all value-added activity. You can see a green tick mark here, over here, you know? Green tick mark, because we want to focus on value-added activity. Now, non-value-added activity, it's a pure waste, and we just want to remove them from the organization. Okay, you will learn more about it. I'll cover it again in chapter 3. Okay, when we will learn more about the non-value-added activities. All right. So if you have any doubt, you can write in comment. If you have any doubt, you can write in comment. Yes. Okay. If you have doubts, please write your doubts in comment. Do you have any doubt? Is it all clear? I hope you all understood this. Any doubt? Any of you have any doubt? Yes? Any student have any doubt? No doubt? Okay. So if you will see, what do we have here? Does company, a question, we have a question. We have learned about the value chain, right? We have learned about the value chain. Now the question here comes about the value chain, right? A question comes here about the value chain. What is it? A company can have their own value chain, which is known as company value chain, and the industry value chain. A company can have both company value chain and industry value chain. So the question is that, is it same? Okay. Is it same or is it different? Okay. This is the question. Company value chain and industry value chain. Is it same or different? Okay. Achha, what is value chain? We have just learned. Value chain means chain of activities. Okay. Different activity. Product passes through activity. Product passes through them. Right? Gaining value at each stage. Right? Okay. This is value chain. Product passes through these activities, gaining value at each stage is value chain. All right. This is value chain. Now the question is, you can imagine the chain of activity ka matlab? Chain of activity means you are buying the raw material. The organization is buying the raw material. Okay. They're converting the raw material into final goods. Okay. Then they sell them to customer. Then what will happen? After selling, after sale services. Okay. Actually, this is a chain of activity. Hai na? It will start from purchase of raw material. It will end up after sale services, right? So this is what a chain of activity. And your product will pass through it. And the product will gain value after every step. Hai na? When you're buying the raw material, you're converting it to final good, you gain, the product will gain the value, right? So the point is that the product will gain value at each stage, right? This is value chain. Now the question is that the company value chain and the industry value chain cannot be same. It is possible, that entire industry value chain is different and the company's value chain is different and it is not same. All right. So you can see here, we have an image here, right? So you can see here, this is what this image is related to. What this image is related to? A value chain of entire industry. Okay, automobile industry, entire automobile industry. This chain is related to entire automobile industry. All right. So if you will see how is it happening, you can see first supply chain. Okay. Then you will see. Let me mark it all. So first is what? Supply chain. Second is what? Manufacturer. Third is what? Product support. So customer after sale services will come there. So this is what? This is value chain of entire industry of automobile. Now let's talk about a simple company. So for example, we have a company which is just converting the raw material into final good. Matlab, a company who is here, a company who is working here, or a company who is just engaged in dealership. You know, you must have seen dealer. Like I remember recently we have purchased a car from, you know, a dealer. Dealer, what they do, they buy the cars and they sell it. Then they sell it. So the point is that dealer is a business. What is his business? He purchased the car, he keep them in warehouse, and then he sell it to the customer. So this is one supply chain. He purchased the car, one dealer, he purchased the car, okay? Then he sell the car, purchase, sell the car, okay? This is one supply chain for a specific business, okay? But if you will see here in this image, this is a complete value chain for one complete industry, for one automobile industry, where first stage, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, it is related to procuring the raw material for entire automobile company. Okay? Then converting the raw material into final goods. Then after sale services. Okay? Sorry, then dealership. Okay? Selling the car to the person. So I don't know whether you have seen or not, whether you have ever went to any dealer or not. So if you will go in Kirti Nagar of Delhi, you can see so many dealers are there, those who sell the cars. Okay, Kirti Nagar mein, if you will go, big showroom, and in big showroom they sell the car. So they are not the company, those who are selling the car, they are all dealer. They provide you facility for taking the loan for purchasing the cars, right? They provide all assistant and they are dealer. They just purchase the cars and then they just sell it. Okay? So this is what purchase the car and then sell it is one value chain. One company is doing this, right? One organization is engaged in buying the cars and then selling it. This is one type of business, right? Buying the car, sell it. Buy the car, sell it, right? This is one kind of business. So one kind of value chain. Okay? And so here I just want to explain you. My point was that company ka value chain and the entire industry's value chain can be different. It is possible that it is not same, right? It can be different, right? It can be different. Okay. Okay, give me 1 minute. Okay, so if you will see now why I have explained you this point, it was very important topic to understand the strategic framework of the organization. You will see we have 3 points: core competence analysis, segmentation analysis, industry structure analysis. To understand this, first line was written in your material. If you will see clearly, it is written in your material that the value chain of the company is different and the organization is different, right? See, I have mentioned it here. So internal value chain is different. External information means industry value chain. Okay. So now let's understand these strategic framework for the organization, right? Let's understand them one by one. So I told you that external environment, है ना? Strategic framework for value chain analysis. ठीक है, अभी देखो, what is strategic framework, what strategy we will make, how we will make the strategy, ठीक है, and we will do the value chain analysis also. मतलब we will find the value added activity and we will find the non value added activity. We will find them. We will find the value added activity. We will find the non value added activity, right? And we will make the framework for the organization. Okay. For that, what we have to consider. So let's see what we have to consider. You can see what they have to consider here. Industry structure analysis. Okay. Core competence analysis. Okay. And then segmentation analysis. Achha, we don't have idea about them. So let's understand them. I will take this later because this is a long topic. Okay, let's first take core competence analysis. This will take time, so I'll take later. First take core competence analysis. Okay, so this is core competence analysis. Okay. Matlab for value chain analysis, we need core competence analysis. Let's try to understand what is it. Huh? Okay. So the point is what? It is what? Core competence analysis, right? What is it? We want to give something different from other. You know, why some organizations are so successful? Why they are earning so much money? Why they are successful for so long time period, right? So if you will see, like in India, Parle-G company, right? It's very old company, more than 100 years old company. Like Coca-Cola company, this is also very old company and they have almost monopoly all across the world. Coca-Cola. All right. So my question is that, have you ever think Coca-Cola or like recently you can see Google company? It is among one of the top 5 company, right? Google, Apple. Have you ever thought why these companies are number one? Like Maggie, Nestle, Maggie. In India, Maggie have monopoly. Maggie has monopoly in India. Okay, Maggie noodles. So the point is that, have you ever tried to understand, have you ever think of ki bhai, why these companies are so famous? They are surviving for more than 100 years. Why? How is it possible to survive for someone for more than 100 years? How? And why they are number one company of entire world? This question might comes in our mind. So the point is that these companies are famous because they are not just focusing on their cost management here. They just don't focus on the cost management. They just don't focus here. Right? Instead of focusing here, they focus on strategic cost management. They focus here on strategic cost management, right? Now what is happening? They focus on providing different product, innovative product, a product which is not possible to imitate by any other person, right? So they actually focus on it. Okay. So you will see here core competence. Again, core competence is not a very old philosophy. It's been introduced very recently, right? So this was introduced by C.K. Prahalad and Gary Hemel in 1991. So you can see this is a very recent research work, right? 1991. C.K. Prahalad and Gary Hemel, they introduced the core competence for the companies. Okay. Now, in case of core competence, they compare the entire organization with a tree. Okay. They're just comparing the entire organization with a tree. You can see here, they're comparing the entire organization with a tree, right? They're comparing the entire organization with a tree. Okay. Now, they're comparing it like this, you can see. So they're comparing the root of the tree as a core competence. core competence, right? Roots are the core competence. Give me 1 minute, I'll show you. So if you will see here, what do we have? So they have compared what? Give me 1 minute. So they have compared the root of this tree as a core competence. We are learning about the core competence. So they compared the entire tree is a company. They're comparing it like this. The entire tree is a company, right? The entire tree is a company, and the root of the tree is core competence. Okay? Branches is what? Core business. Okay? The trunk is core business, the branches is core product, and the leaves are end product. Okay? So in this way, they have compared the company with a tree. Okay? Now, what is core competence? You can see this tree cannot survive without roots. You can imagine how roots are important for a tree. This tree will fall in next day if there will be no root, if they are cut out from the roots. So you can imagine how roots are important for the company, how core competence is important for a company. You can imagine now, for a tree, for a complete tree, the roots is important. So they are just making this comparison. Okay, for entire company, the core competence is important, just like for tree, a root, for tree, roots are important. Okay. So this is how much core competence is important for the organization. What are the end product? These are the end final product which you are selling to the customer, or the final services which you are providing to the customer is the end product, right? All right. Okay. All right. So this is how they have make the comparison. Okay. Okay, I'll give you some more example to understand it. So just give me 1 minute. Allow me 1 minute. Okay. So I have taken some example. Like you can see here, I've taken some example of company. Okay. Like we have taken the example of Honda company, Canon company, Google company, Coca-Cola company. Okay. These are all companies, right? So let's take Google, because everyone knows Google, right? We all use Google, right? Every day we do Google for everything, right? We do Google. Okay. Even for your class, I've done Google, right? So point is that for Google, you will see Google is a company, right? It's top 5 company of the world, right? So if you will talk about Google, what is the core competence? For the entire company, what is the root of the company? Why this Google company is so, profit making, so, successful? So why it is number 1? What are the roots for the company? Core competence. Root, what is the core competence of the company? That one thing because of which the company is number 1. What is it? So that is the core competence of the company. Let's see what is the core competence for Google company. So for Google, indexation is their core competence. Google have the index, okay, and they keep on updating their index, okay, which help the search engine to give you the best information. Okay. Do you know about the indexation? Otherwise, I'll show you a picture of index. Give me 1 minute. I have the image of index. If I have the image, I'll show you. Give me one. This one. So this is what? This is Google algorithm or index, right? Google have this algorithm, right? You can see this image. These are what? Algorithm of Google. And the Google, they keep on updating these algorithms. With the help of these algorithms, we get the information from the Google, and we get the most accurate information. Like you search something, in internet, there are millions of information.
है ना? In internet, there are, I mean, so many people have created so many websites, so many information we have uploaded, right? If you will see a YouTube you will see so many YouTube channels, YouTube videos of so many people, right? But how every time when you search something, you get the most accurate information, not the irrelevant one, right? You will not get any irrelevant information. When you Google something, you will get the most accurate information. Why? It is because of the algorithm, right? The algorithm, because of which you get the most accurate information. All right. Okay. So Google is what? Algorithm of Google is what? Core competence. This is the root of entire Google company. Okay. Okay. Similarly, let's talk about Coca-Cola company. So next is what? Let's talk about the Coca-Cola company. So now the question is that what is the root of Coca-Cola company, because of which the Coca-Cola company is so successful? It's more than 100-year-old. I mean, even 150 years old. I don't remember the exact year. But it's a very old brand, right? So the point is that why? Why it is such an old brand? What is the core? What is the root of the company? The most important thing in the company which makes the company so successful. So for Coca-Cola, their taste, people have that addiction of their taste, right? So their taste is unique. So the syrup they use in Coca-Cola, let me show you first. So the syrup of Coca-Cola, that black syrup they use in Coca-Cola is a top secret. No one knows that how they prepare it. It's a secret, right? We don't know that how they prepare it, and they never disclose it. And just because of the taste of that black syrup, people loves Coca-Cola. Okay, and Coca-Cola have created, people loves it. So this is the root of Coca-Cola brand. Okay, so I hope you understood that. What is the core competence? Right? I hope you understood all that. What is the core competence? Core competence means what is the root of the company because of which the company is so successful. Okay. So I have taken some more example, like in case of Honda, it's a car company, automobile company, their unique product development is their core competence. In case of Canon, their optics imaging microprocessor is a core competence. Okay. Now, what is the end product? End product means the final product which we get it. Okay. So like in Coca-Cola, the Coca-Cola drink which we drink is a final product. In Google, the search engine of Google, the Gmail account of Google, okay, the Google document is the final product. Canon, the camera which we purchase, the DSLR camera which we have is a final product. Right? So this is how the core competence and final end product is defined here. I hope it is clear. This is how they have defined the core competence and the end product. All right. Okay. So again, let's discuss about the core competence. So core competence, matlab what? What is it? Core competence, we have just discussed, it is the root of the company. It is something which makes the company so successful, right? Just remember, they have compared the company with a tree. Okay? And how important it is to have a root. And core competence is the root of entire company. Core competence is root of entire company, right? Okay. So core competence means what? Distinct, unique skills the company have which no one have, right? Like we have discussed, like Google have algorithm. Google have algorithm, like Coca-Cola have their taste syrup. Like even, in India, Maggie have monopoly. So why Maggie have monopoly? Because, why Maggie is so famous, why people like Maggie so much? Because of their taste maker, that Maggie masala. Because of that, Maggie is so famous. And this is also a trade secret. No one knows that how the Maggie company prepared that taste maker. Okay, no one knows that. So because of these distinct, bilkul alag, because of these distinct, these unique product, okay, this is the root of the company. All right. And for that reason, they keep it secret, right? You can see for Coca-Cola, the black syrup is secret. For Maggie company, their taste maker is a secret. right? Algorithm, we don't know that how they update the algorithm. We don't know. We have no knowledge that how Google they keep on updating their algorithm, right? These are all secret, and these are what secret, but the root of the company, because of which the company is so successful, and they are having the competitive advantage. They're number one because they are leader. Okay. So the company have such distinct and unique skills, which is the organization resource. Okay, or it can be any technology, it can be a resource ka matlab it can be asset, tangible or intangible assets, or it can be any technology, machines, right, that create distinct value to the customer. So this create distinct value to the customer. All right. Okay. So we have to check the core competence, whether the core competence exists or not, whether the root for the company exists or not. How we will decide it? How we will decide that whether the root for the company exists or not? Okay. How we will decide that whether the root of the company exists? Okay. So for that, we will see these things. What do you have any end product? What are the end product? Now it is clear to all the difference between core competence and end product. Hai na? So we have learned core competence matlab root of the company, end product matlab what is the final product which you will sell to the customer. And they compared the end product with the leaves of the tree. Okay. So we will see what are the end product of the company and what are its benefit. What are the end product of the company and what are its benefit? Then whether it has access to wide variety of market, you will check it. Whether it has access to wide variety of market, then whether it is difficult for the competitor to imitate. We have learned now that it should be unique. The resources should be unique. Should be unique, right? Different, distinct. No one have that thing, right? Like we have discussed that Google algorithm is unique. No one knows that how they prepare the algorithm and how it works, right? So Google algorithm is unique. Similarly, we have discussed about the Coca-Cola syrup. So Coca-Cola syrup is unique. No one knows that how they prepare that syrup. It's unique. All right. Similarly, we have discussed about Maggi ka tastemaker, masala. So Maggi masala, it's unique. No one knows. It's a trade secret. We have no idea. No one has idea, right? Even the employee of the company, they don't know that how the company prepare the tastemaker. No idea. Okay. Maggi masala. Just because they have such unique resources, the company have the core competence, right? So what are the tests? First check the end product. The company have the end product. It is useful for the customer. Okay. Does they have access to wide variety of market? Okay. Is it possible for the competitor to imitate it, or is it difficult for the competitor to imitate it? You will check it. If it is difficult for imitate, I hope you understand the meaning of imitate. But if you have something unique, it is a secret, and no one in the market, none of your competitor can, imitate it. So when no one can imitate, only you have the monopoly then. Your product will be unique, you will be unique, your organization will be unique, and you will be having the monopoly. So the point is that you will check whether core competence will exist only when your resources have uniqueness and it is difficult to imitate by the competitor. Your competitor, they can't imitate it. They can't, they can't imitate it. So if the competitor, they can't imitate it, then it will become the core competence of the business, right? I hope it is clear. I'm not getting any answer from you. Is it clear? So this is a good question, Namita. So she's asking, we need to find out the value-added activities in primary or secondary activities. So dear, we will find the non-value-added activity, matlab waste everywhere. Okay? So either it is primary activity or it is secondary activity, whatever inside the organization, everywhere we will try to find out the waste, the non-valuated activities. All right. Right. Huh. So actually, see, the point is that even Namita, even the employee, they don't have idea about that how the company prepared the syrup. They don't. I mean, maybe they have set up the production process in such a way, they have set up everything in the organization in such a way that it is not, even the employee, those who are working there now, they have no idea that how the company is preparing it. है ना देखो I mean see some company have such uniqueness and they want to prevent it from imitation तभी तो they will have the core competence. This is actually the 3 tests of core competence. When it is difficult to imitate, then it will become the core competence. So to make it core competence, the company should make it sure that it will not get imitated by any other person, any other organization. All right, so this is about the core competencies. Is there any doubt? Any other doubt? Yes, is there any other doubt? So what are the advantages if the company have core competence? We have discussed so far so much important a company. It is so much important for a company to have core competence. We have discussed so far. Now the question comes here: what are the advantages? Why? I mean, why if the company have core competence? What is the benefit of having core competence? So you can see if the company have core competence, they will become a leader. Coca-Cola is a leader, market leader, will be worldwide market leader. So in the entire world, everyone knows about the Coca-Cola company, right? So to become market leader, or product differentiation. Matlab, you know, there is no alternate of Google. If you have a laptop, you must have a Google. Everyone, right? We do not have any alternate of search engine of Google. At least in India, I'm talking about. We don't, like what I know about China and some other country, they don't allow Google, right? They don't use Google. They have their own search engine in China and some other countries. But if we talk about other good countries like India, right? So we use Google, right? Search engine. And we don't know any other alternative, right? We don't have any other alternative of search engine. But I remember when I was a child, we had some other options also, like Yahoo was an option of search engine. MSN karke, we had an option of search engine, and for say Forex, I don't exactly remember the name, but yes, when I was a child, I have seen many alternate of Google, but now in so many years, I'm more than 30, so in so many years, you can see like Google has replaced all the search engine and now only Google, right? So the point is that core competence will either will make you a leader, or it will give you product differentiation. Your product will be unique, right? So this is about the core competence, the benefit of having a core competence, or both. You can be a leader as well as you have the differentiation also, right? Your product is different and also your product is having the cost leadership. All right. So this is about the core competence. If you have any doubt, please write in comment. If you people have any doubt, please write in comment. If you have any doubt, please write your doubt in comment. Please write your doubts in comment. So the question is that, does the Google have core competence? Of course, of course. But let's see how we test the core competence. Yes, Google have the core competence, of course. And how? Their algorithm. Yes, they have core competence. Their algorithm is so unique. But now the point is that how will you check that the Google company have core competence? So the testers first check whether they have koi end product. Yes, now Google search engine is the end product. Yes, we have the end product, Google search engine. Okay. Yes, we have the end product, Google search engine. Does it access to wide variety of market? Yes, entire world, almost entire world people use Google. Difficult for the competitor to imitate? Yes. No one knows, right? Algorithm, we don't have idea about the algorithm. Okay. So we don't have idea about the algorithm, but yes, it is difficult for everyone to copy their algorithm. वरना अभी तक तो कितने Google हो जाते, right? You can imagine. But what I told you that they have replaced so many search engines, but none of them have replaced them, and they have created almost monopoly. Google, so yes, it is not easy to imitate Google company. So for that reason, you will check these three things. If it is yes, so yes, Google have the core competence. Yes, it is difficult to imitate Google. All right. Okay. Now for core competence, there are two sources which are important to have, right? So what are these two sources? Resources and capability. You will check these two things to ensure that the company have the core competence. To ensure that the company have core competence, you will check these two things, right? What is it? First is resources. Okay. Whether the company have unique resources, like we have just discussed. Like we have just discussed about the Coca-Cola company, they have the top secret. Black syrup is a top secret. Maggie tastemaker is a top secret, right? Google ka algorithm is a top secret. It is what? Resource. You can say that the company can have intangible resource or tangible resources. Like algorithm is what? Intangible. You can't touch algorithm. Company can't touch algorithm. It is all software inbuilt, right? So the point is that the resources can be tangible resource or the resources can be intangible resources. Tangible ka matlab you can touch it. Maybe the company's plant and machinery is so unique. Maybe the company's building is so unique. Maybe the company's office is so unique. Maybe the sale outlet is so unique. Maybe the inventory is so unique. Whatever. So the point is that you can have uniqueness in your tangible assets, or you can have uniqueness in your intangible assets. Like intangible asset ka matlab algorithm, it is intangible, right? Acha, like you have such exceptionally good employee in the organization because of which your company is surviving and growing. Okay, that will be intangible. Sorry, employee skills, right, is intangibles, right? Patent, technology, these are all intangible resources. So you will see in case of core competence, we are considering the resources and capability. Resource ka matlab company can have either tangible assets or any intangible assets. That is giving the company's core competence, matlab root of the company. And company ka root. Core competence means company ka root. It can be tangible assets which give the core competence. It can be intangible assets also. Okay. So जैसे कि tastemaker is a tangible asset. You can touch it, right? Tastemaker, we can touch it. Black syrup, we can touch it, right? But algorithm is software, right? So we can't touch it. So tangible and both intangible asset can be resource of the company. All right, so these are resources, okay, which give uniqueness to the company. Company will become unique and difficult for the competitor to imitate the company. All right. After this, resources, capability. Now, the question comes, what is capability? Okay, so capability means ability to do something. Company, does the company have ability to do? Okay, there are some questions. Very nice. So if you have doubt, please ask your doubts also, right? Yes, Namita, core competence exists everywhere. So it is not only about the product, right? Like Domino's have a core competence. Let's talk about the companies. So how Domino's have the core competence? So if you will talk about Domino's company, Domino's have created monopoly in India because of their speed of delivery. So if, for example, I'm very hungry. So yesterday I came from Bengaluru and I'm very hungry. I have not taken my breakfast. I'll just open my application, Domino's. I'll click on menus. Okay. Order, and within just 15 minutes, I'll get pizza outside my home. So what is it? So you can see why Domino's is so unique. Domino's is unique because their speed of delivery. I mean, you can imagine uniqueness can be created in any way. It is not necessary that you are selling a unique product. Now, it can be uniqueness can be created in any way. So Domino's is unique because of their speed of delivery. Okay, I remember once I ordered a pizza and I just ordered and I went down to get it, right? And I was so amazed. I said, how quickly? I mean, how is it possible so quickly? I've just ordered and you are here outside my home. So he said, Madam, hum goli ki tarah aate hain. So you can imagine, just because the speed of delivery they have created, that speed of delivery have created the core competence for Domino's company. Right? And you ask about the service industry, so you can see Google is actually a service industry. Google is not selling the product. So we use the search engine. It's a service. Now Google is providing you a service. They are not selling any product to you. So you asked Namita, you asked me that whether the core competence is possible in service industry. Yes, now Google ka example, we are discussing it so many times. Yes, it is possible. All right. If you have any other question, you can ask. Okay. So capability means ability to do the things is capability. To do it in a unique way, like we have just discussed about the Domino's company. So, I remember just 10 years back, I was a child, obviously, I was doing my CA. So I remember in India, Pizza Hut and Domino's. I remember in TVs also, they both give so many Domino's. I'm writing it correctly, I hope. Domino's. Actually, I remember they were very strong competitor in the market. Very, very strong competitor. Okay, dono. Okay. And you can get the outlet of both Pizza Hut and Domino's. You can see the advertisement of both in TV, television, Pizza Hut and Domino's. But now you can see, now in India, you can see Domino's everywhere. And Domino's is everywhere, and there are very few outlets of Pizza Hut. And I remember during COVID, one of the Pizza Hut outlet in Dwarka, I live here, so it was shut down. Impact of COVID, right? Point is that, this company survived the COVID. Domino's survived the COVID, right? It survived the COVID, right? And many of the pizza outlet, they shut down themselves. Why? Their strategy was not good, right? So why Domino's managed to create monopoly, almost monopoly in India? Why is it so famous in India? Just because their speed of delivery. Goli ki tarah aate hain, right? So just because of their speed of delivery, they have created uniqueness, right? So this is about the core competence. Capability, matlab how their ability to do something so uniquely, right? So you can see Domino's have capability, right, to deliver the product on time, even before time. Matlab they promise 30 minutes nahi to free, but even before 30 minutes you will get the product, right? So this is about the Domino's. So capability refers to company's ability to coordinate the resources of the company and put them to productive use in a very unique way. Ability of the company to do this. All right. If you have doubt, please write your doubt in comment. Yes, if you have doubt, please write your doubts in comment. Now the question comes, what will happen, ma'am, if the company lose their core competence? What if they lose the core competence? Abhi dekho, we have just discussed that the company is equal to tree and core competence is equal to root of the tree. Root is important now. If there will be no root, what will happen? The tree will die. Say yes or no. If the company will have no root, if the tree have no root, what will happen? Next day the tree will fall down, right? So it will die. Similarly, if the company will have no roots, no core competence, what will happen? The company will die, obviously. So we have this. We have here the example, core competence. We have the example that, yes, I hope you all remember Kodak company. Do you remember all Kodak camera? Kodak camera? Hmm? Do you remember Kodak camera? Okay. Acha, why this condition is written? Okay, Namita is asking why this condition of end product benefit is written here for a reason. Dekho na, you have the core competence, but your product is not sellable in the market. What is the need then? Then I don't think it's a core competence. Hai na? So if you have a good root, that means I mean, it's not enough now. If you have a root, that means you must have a healthy tree, healthy leaves, fruits, and so same way they are saying a core competence exists only when there is benefit of end product. Okay, your end product is having benefit, customer loves your end product and it is sellable in the market. Then only we will talk about the core competence, right? Okay. So if you will see here, what do we have? We have Kodak camera. I remember this was a market leader. I have been grown up using Kodak camera. I'm a camera lover person. I love camera, right? So yes, I remember I had my camera, Kodak camera with me, and it was a leader, market leader. Okay. So if you remember, I remember that the cost of the camera was 1,000, very less. Okay. Rupees 1,000 you can purchase. I'm talking about like 15 years back or 15, 20 years back. Okay. So you can purchase a camera just for 1,000, but what was expensive? The reels. Okay. And to develop the reels. Okay. This was expensive. Camera was cheap, right? Kodak camera was just for 1,000, but the reels were expensive. And the process of developing the reels into images was very expensive. That was expensive, right? So, but what happened after a few years? Smartphone comes in the market, smartphone. Okay, you know, the first smartphone was come in 2007 by Steve Jobs. And you know, inbuilt camera was introduced into it, smart camera. Sorry, in smartphone, the smart camera, these cameras were inbuilt in them. Then what happened? A new DSLR camera was introduced in the market, that small Sony DSLR camera, I remember, right? Not DSLR, that Sony digital camera was introduced in the market, right? So just because of these digital camera, and then these smartphone, it was a new product in the market. Okay, new product, and they have different uniqueness. Okay, they were first though, they were not expensive. Now you take image, it's your wish, you want to develop it, okay. If you don't want to develop it, keep it in your computer, keep it in your phone, right? So the point is that this was not very expensive, right? You don't have to develop the images and all. You can keep it as it is. You can see here, they have introduced completely a new product in the market. So completely a new product in the market. Uniqueness, right? Unique product in the market. These were completely a new and unique product in the market. So when a new product will come in the market, maybe the old product, though it was a market leader, will become obsolete in the market. Though Kodak was a market leader. Kodak was a market leader, but just because in the market a new technology has came, the new product has been introduced, the new thing has been, you know, it came in the market. So what will happen? The old one will become obsolete now, though it was a market leader. So, you know, it was become actually insolvent, a very bad ending of this company. Very bad ending. Bankrupt, actually, not insolvent, bankrupt. That market leader becomes bankrupt. Sad story. Okay. So Loss of core competence. Loss of core competence मतलब end product benefit. ठीक है? So Kodak camera reached to a stage where there is no end product. We have discussed now that benefit. Finally, since the new product was introduced in the market, this Kodak camera has, since in the market a new product was introduced, this end product will have no benefit. No benefit. No benefit now. People don't want to, I mean, you can see, again, nowadays, if I'll give you a Kodak camera, I have a camera, I have kept it as a memory with me. I have a camera, right? If I'll give you that camera, I'll give you a reel also, and I'll ask you, go and take some pictures, and then you go and develop those reels and, you know, take a printout of all those images, right? You will say, you are mad. Are you mad? So the point is that, why are you saying, are you mad? Because these days, people don't use such cameras in which we have to put a reel and then we have to develop the reel. You know? So the point is that now their end product benefit reached to a stage of no benefits, right? There is no benefit of it. No one wants to use that reels, that camera. Okay. So for that reason, though they were market leader, but now their end product benefit has actually no benefit. It has no benefit now. Okay. For that reason, you can see that they have lost their core competency. We were having 3 tests now, that the product must have end product benefit. It has wide variety of market and difficult for the competitor to imitate it, right? So competitor, they don't want to imitate, right? But yes, there is no end product benefit. So they lost their core competencies. Right? This can happen with any organization. A market leader, once a market leader, may become a bankrupt, may become insolvent, right? That's completely depends. So like Nokia, let's talk about Nokia also. Okay, let's talk about Nokia. So, you know, Nokia was also a market leader. I remember Motorola was also a market leader. Motorola, this was actually an American company, very big, very old brand, right? This was an American company, very big, very old brand, Motorola. They all reached to end stage. They were all market leader, let me tell you, huh? And, you know, even this Motorola, they have, they received 2 times Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award. They won 2 times. I mean, this is the first company in the entire world who won this award 2 times. Right? Such a good company. They lost their core competence and now they do not exist anywhere. No one knows Motorola, right? If I'll ask today's generation, do you have heard about Motorola? They will say, what the hell? What is this Motorola? Huh? They don't know about Motorola, right? So the point is that these were all #1 companies. Okay, once they were all #1 company. Nokia, Motorola, they were all #1 company. But now you can see, since they do not qualifies those 3 conditions of core competence, they lost their core competence. Now no one knows their name. Right? So the point is that loss of core competencies. How? If the company lose these 3 end product benefit, we have discussed about the end product benefit, right? If the company lose those 3 end product benefit, they will lose their core competence. These are the end product benefit. Sorry, these are the 3 points, right? To check whether the core competence exists or not, these are the 3 points. If these 3 points do not exist, the company will lose their core competencies. Like we have just discussed that in case of Kodak camera, there is no end product benefit. Customer is not willing to get any benefit. Customer is actually not getting any benefit from the Kodak wala camera in which you put the reel and you develop it. It's not exist, right? So there is no end product benefit. All right. Okay. So, so you can see Nokia. I have taken so many names, right? You can see Kodak camera, Nokia, Nikon, Nokia, Motorola, and Bajaj Auto. Hamara Bajaj, you know that Hamara Bajaj was also having core competence in India. But now, since they lose their end product benefit, it's out of the market, right? So yes, these are all what, how the company, they lost their core competencies. All right. Okay, so with this, let me wind up the session for today's, and we will take the session tomorrow. If you have any doubt, you can write in comment. If you people have any doubt, please write your doubt in comment, or let me wind up the session. So take care, all of you. Have a nice day. Yes, if you have doubt, you can ask me. Otherwise, let me wind up the session.